Understanding the revenue model in your business will be a key to helping you predict your cash flow in your business. And I don't think we've ever talked about revenue models here on this channel before. So that's what this video is all about. A revenue model is talking about how does money come into your business, very simply. In what ways are you generating revenue in your business? But I'm going to get into that in more detail. What I have for you today is a snippet from our cash flow forecasting workshop that we did a little while back. And I want to share this piece with you because I thought it was really important. And I see that a lot of our cash flow videos are doing really well right now. And I'm thinking, what are the other pieces that you guys don't know about? Let's get them free up here on the YouTube channel so that you can create a better cash flow forecast. So I'm just thinking, what resources do I have? What can I give you guys? And this little piece about revenue models will be very important for you to help predict your cash flow. So if that sounds interesting and you are worried about predicting your cash flow, which all of us as business owners should be, this video is for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would love to have you here as a subscriber, and we bring business finance videos to you, the small business owner. We want you to do better, be able to manage your money better, be able to predict your cash flow and understand the ins and outs of your business. And that's what these videos are all about. We have a lot of other videos, over 300 videos here on the channel. So make sure you are subscribed, and also make sure you check out the backlog of videos. You can also just search cash flow and you'll find a bunch of other ones as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into this snippet about revenue models.
The first thing that I want to talk about is what is a revenue model? Because we're going to talk about revenue models. Revenue models, and I just thought this was a really nice description of it. A revenue model dictates how a business will charge customers for a product or service to generate revenue. Simple as that. How do you make money? How do you make money? How do you bring money into the business? That is a revenue model. And the beautiful thing about being entrepreneurs and the beautiful thing about owning businesses is that we can design this piece of our business. This is completely up to us and also like what a customer will do, but we have the ability to change our revenue model if it's not working for us. So what we need to do is we need to analyze, how are we making money? How is it coming into the business? Is it serving us well from a cash perspective? A couple different revenue models here. You might have something else or a combination of a couple of these. So I want you to start to think like, what is me? As I'm speaking, think which one of these is me, okay? You can even write it down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But bill per hour is like super, super common, especially in the services industry. Bill per hour. So every time you perform, you technically can bill a client for it. This would also be like a therapist. Like every time you show up and if somebody sits in your seat, you can charge them for that time, right? Another really common revenue model is bill on a fixed fee. So that's something like what my business does, where we have CFO services on a flat rate that we've determined on a monthly fee. Product sales. So if you are selling anything individual, so if you're e-commerce, if you're a brick and mortar store, product sales is that point of sale. When someone walks in and they buy something, you get the money. We've also got contracts. There's a bunch of different ways you can structure a contract, but contracts are typically billed over time, over some sort of term, for some sort of total dollar amount. And then we've got commission-based revenue models, which this could look like something like an affiliate partnership or a relationship where every time you sell something for somebody else, you get a commission back. And all of these things, there's some people whose whole business model is based on commissions. Like think about like bloggers or influencers. Most of the way they make their money is by promoting products and then getting some type of commission back on that thing. Any others that you guys are currently implementing that how do you make money? Feel free to put it in the chat. You can send it directly to me, or you can send it. All right, we've got a chat about Joel mentions value-based pricing, which is probably would look a little bit more. That's a pricing model, how you determine what that dollar amount is, which I think is a wonderful way to do it if you can figure out what that value is to your clients. But that would probably be billing on a fixed fee, because you would still have a way that the money comes and flows in. Okay. So we're talking about there's pricing, but then there's like really the cash coming in the door. How is it coming in the door? And then Alicia mentions that she'd like to productize her service. I think that's amazing. So you could potentially have like a point of sale type structure, but you might also still provide services. So you could potentially end up where you have multiple different revenue models in your business. Yeah. So a couple comments that are coming in are talking about like the actual pricing of those services. So this, we're not going to get into exactly how to price, but we're going to get in more to like when you're receiving the money. Okay. So we're going to kind of assume to some degree that your pricing is already taken care of. But if you work these tips and you still have poor cash flow, your pricing isn't right. So, I mean, hopefully we get pricing right first, and then all of this stuff works its way out or works itself out. But if you're doing everything I'm saying today and you're doing all these things for cash in, you're doing best practice on cash in and cash out, it's a pricing problem. Okay. So that's just something to think of, or an expense problem, but a lot of times it's a pricing problem. You're not priced enough to cover all of your expenses. But let's talk about the cash challenges of each one of these models. Okay, so with bill per hour, one of the biggest challenges is that you can't bill a client until you've worked the hours because you don't know how many hours you've had until you've already done them. So the problem with that is, let's say for the month of March, you're performing a service, you can't bill until March is over. And then it usually takes some time to compile those hours. And then you might have net 30 terms on your invoice. And now you're almost 2 months or 2 months plus from when you perform the service to when you actually get the money. We don't like that. That's not what we want. We would rather have that up front. Okay. Oh, the other thing is, or the next one is billing on a fixed fee. One of the challenges with that is setting your fixed fee, thinking you've done it all right, thinking you factored in your costs correctly, and then realizing that you've underestimated the time it takes to actually deliver the service. And this is one of the biggest pieces of fear that have people worried about moving to a fixed fee, is they say, well, what if there's something that I forgot about, and like I end up spending way more time than what the fixed fee covers. Okay. So you can always negotiate out of scope stuff, and there's lots of ways to handle that, and ways that we're not going to get into all that today. But that is one of the cash flow challenges of billing on a fixed fee. So you have to get your estimates on how long your labor actually takes in order to price that fixed fee correctly. Okay. It can be done well. You've just got to do a lot of planning on the front end of that. Now with product sales, one of the great things about product sales is that you're getting money in very, very regularly. So if you have an e-commerce business, you're going to get deposits all the time, which is great. But the problem with that is that it's really, really small amounts, incremental small amounts in, but you might have to be paying really big invoices going out to pay for the goods. All right. So that takes more planning, because you need to plan, 500, 500, 500, 500, but I've got an invoice for my goods that go out that's $3,000. So you've got to make sure that you're, keeping track of those kind of things. With contracts that are billed over time, you could, if you're not, negotiating your contracts in a way that makes sense for cash flow, you could, let's say over a 6-month contract, have a $60,000 contract that's $10,000 every month. But what if all the workload is front loaded to the beginning? You could have really high payroll costs that don't line up with the income that you're taking from the client. Okay. So that's where contracts really matter. And then with commission base, cash flow problem with that is that you typically don't have a lot of control over saying when you get paid and how you get paid, or even on, the sales part of that. So like if you're in an affiliate relationship, I'll give you an example that we'll talk through later. Something like Google AdSense. So Google pays the money coming in at one day in the month. I think it's like the 20th or the 22nd of every single month. And there's no way that you can negotiate with Google to change that. You have no control over that whatsoever. And that's just kind of one example, but there's lots there. So there's a less of a control. You don't get to just go and modify your contract and change that piece. If anybody is experiencing something in their business where they've got some pretty significant cash challenges, please feel free to chat them to me. You can chat it directly to me, and I don't have to say your name out loud if you don't want to, but we definitely want to try to, identify what are these challenges and how can we fix them. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes think about what I just showed you. I'll pull the slide back up. But when you think about your business, what of these things, like think about your model, write it down. What kind of model do you have? And you might have a couple. You might have some product sales and you bill per hour. Or you might have some longer term contracts and you bill per hour. You might have like 3 or 4 of these all in just one business. So write those down and start to think about like, really, what is the pain point on the revenue? Now, you might not have a pain point on the revenue. You might have everything sorted out. So if that's the case, just sit back, grab another cup of coffee, grab some water. But I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to think about this.
Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that that was really helpful when it comes to understanding your revenue model and how that plays into predicting your revenue for your cash flow forecasting. So if this was helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And also put any questions in the comment section below, because I am thinking about more content around this topic of cash flow. And I would love to know, like, what are the missing pieces? Okay, so we can start to fill that in. And also our next video will also be about cash flow. So you will be able to grab a little bit more of that workshop. If you would like the whole copy of it, we're going to put a link to that below, but we have put different snippets for free up here on the channel. So, I mean, if you can get it for free, you don't need to pay for it. But if you do want to pay for it and get it, all the resources in one place and a complete tutorial all in one place, you can go and check out the link below. All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.